benefits meeting.
Now, which company?
Well, I'm retired, right?
UDM, is it?
Yeah, so I'm part-time at UGM.
Uh-huh.
And I retired from another company that I was with about 40 years. And I just wanted to help the homeless and the poor. So came down here, and I'd volunteered in past years, and they said, "Hey, we'd like you to do this." And I said, "Great, let's go for it." So that's what I'm doing. Tell the
Okay.
stories. What I do, I tell the story. I'm going to go out to 4 houses today, different people that are involved in our partners, and just go sit with them and talk to them, see how they're doing, check in, thank them for their support and their involvement in what we're doing.
What stories are you telling?
Life stories of people that come our way. So I have these cards that have summaries of stories of people's lives. These are all people that have come through our program. And so since I've been here now 4 years, I'm able to actually communicate pretty clearly, what's happening with people and getting clean and sober, getting jobs, getting places to live, being reconnected, with their families. I mean, that's all the stories, and it's unlimited. So I never run out of a story.
Where did this interest come from? I mean, our forum is 3 P's is passion, purpose, and principle. So it seems like your passions have changed a little over the years. You're not a hooping superstar these days. You're looking to help others. I assume that's your passion and purpose. And I don't think your principles have changed. Where did that purpose come from?
Well, first of all, the basketball hoop junkie addict never goes away for
Right.
any of us. Okay.
Yeah. Good.
So, and you can ask my wife when I go to Spokane. So Hoopfest has built those courts, Hooptown, USA. Almost every day I drive by those courts. Now, I don't have the desire to put on my tennis shoes and take a jump shot, but I go by with a big honking smile on my face. There's 40 kids out there playing basketball from really 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the evening till 1 a.m. in the morning every day. Greg, did you know that? Every day.
Is that the new courts?
The new courts.
Wow.
It's unbelievable to me. I went by last night again at like 9:30, and I'm going, it's just packed. Sometimes the parents are there, the girls are there watching their boyfriends. It's like one of the best things that Spokane has done. So in answer to that response, my passion is still for basketball. We had a team camp out here. I went out there and spoke to all the coaches. This was last week. And so that's not going to go away. I mean, I'm part of the biggest 3-on-3 event in the world. And I've been on that board for 10 years. Now, going to the homeless and the poor, I grew up poor, but I did not know that. We were a Black family that owned a farm, homesteaded from the South, slavery, settled in outside of St. Louis. And that's where I grew up. We had 160 acres. It was the dairy farm. I was up at 4 o'clock every morning my whole life and milking cows at 5. And then I got involved in sports because you got to be out of that second milking. You have to milk twice a day. And so I got out of that second. Now, but I need you to understand, many of my friends that grew up on the farm were stud athletes, but the sons, their job was to basically work the farm. And so their parents wouldn't let them play. They wouldn't let them play.
Yeah.
So, I mean, homelessness to me, I think everybody should have some concern for the homeless. And I probably was poor, but because of that, I did not know I was poor. I had food on the table, I had a roof over my head. I never saw a person homeless in my area on the street. So I'm outside of St. Louis. That's where I was born and raised. And I get here in Spokane. I don't remember anything even early 80s, but then I started volunteering in the juvenile area. So there's a juvenile part to what UGM does. So I started volunteering in 84 over there. And as a result of that, I began to realize that these kids that are locked up in juvenile came from somewhere. And I began to realize that many of them, their parents were, homeless, definitely poor. I'm going to turn this down here real quick. Apologize for that. My phone is old. I'm still kind of one of those guys that, I'm resisting the $1,000 bill that iPhone wants, and so I can't turn mine off real well. To be frankly honest with you, it doesn't go off. It's like 5 years old, and I go into the store and there go Mr. Beard. This phone is not supposed to be working. I go, oh, okay. Anyway, sorry. So when I, so I began to realize that the parents, many of them, children are locked up, and then began to realize that many of them went through this same transition from basically kind of raising themselves, being around, really dysfunctional, and that term is kind of overused, dysfunctional environment. And I just said to myself, I would like to help in some way. So that's kind of what I've done, and I'm here. My wife supports what I do. She was a little bit surprised. So I retired from 40 years with NBC Camps, and I retired August 31st of 17, and I went to work September 1 of 17 down at the Union Mission, and she asked me a question: how'd you enjoy that 12 hours of retirement? And I go, oh.
What'd you do with all that free time?
That's the longest retirement I ever heard of, Danny. 2 weeks.
She was probably ready for you to take another job after that.
So yeah.
But, okay, so let's roll it back a little bit. You mentioned your parents who allowed you to get off the farm and pursue something that either you knew you loved or thought you might love or thought you might be good at. Tell me about your parents.
So now kind of can go back a little bit further than to even grandpa. So the grandparents were in Cherry Lane, Tennessee. I checked it out as best I can on the map. Doesn't exist. But Murfreesboro is the area that they were in. And so whenever slavery was abolished, many of the slaves, which include my great-grandfather, they were given this piece of land to take care of, and this is where you can live. Well, basically, again, I'm not trying to be anything but just tell a story of truth. They, the white plantation owner, slave owner, now plantation owner, put them over there. Well, it was just a big pile of rocks, basically, where they were. And pretty much most of, Black people at that point were farmers. So they couldn't farm the land. So they had to go back and continue to work now for the plantation owner, who was the slave owner. And so my great-grandfather and 2 of his buddies worked there for quite a while. And they finally went in one day, 3 of them, and said, hey, we think that, the work we're doing and helping you here is worth more than 50 cents a day. And he got his 2 buddies and hung them. And so my great-grandfather left my grandfather, his wife, and them down in Cherry Lane, Tennessee, and ran through the night and got up into St. Louis area, was sitting on the railroad yards there, and a locomotive engineer, a white guy, came by, saw him sitting there, said, what can I do to help you? And he said, I need a job. And so he took him 2 hours further north, which is all white. And my great-grandfather actually worked for him for a year. He treated him well. He gave him a piece of land. He built a little cabin, and he went down and got my grandfather and his brothers and sisters and moved them all up there. And so whenever they got to be 14-ish, which is dating age, there was no Black women there, no Black girls. They was all white. They sit in the back of a white church. I've seen that whole property. I've had breakfast with those white ancestors that allowed my grandfather to be treated as a man. And I've traveled the covered wagon trail to back down to the homestead that I was raised on, which was right outside of St. Louis, 160 acres. So that's a little bit of the story there. Wow. And so I look back at my parents. My dad grew up an only child. His brother drowned with him in the boat when my dad was 8, his brother was 9. And he grew up by himself on the farm. And then I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. And my parents were just really about hard work. That's really what it was, and treating people with respect, and which means being kind and discipline. So that was just a part of who they were. That's who I am. I know how to work. There's not too many hours in the day that I won't work. And that's good and bad, you know, because I sometimes need to do a better job with my boundaries. But, you know, I like to work, though. I mean, I really do. Now, getting to be 69, you know, I'm thinking I don't want to pull weeds in the yard anymore, you know, that type of stuff. So I'm thinking I got to figure this one out in these latter years and do less.
Yeah. That's amazing, Dan. I never knew that stuff about you, but, you know, things jump out there right away as we talk about, you know, how does somebody get a foundation, whether it's basketball fundamentals, we don't teach a lot anymore. It's like, regardless of where you're at, you didn't know you're poor, but you had parents that taught you about work ethic and discipline and kindness. And I look at you now and I'm like, that's Danny Beard. Ever since I know him, he's going to outwork you. He's the kindest guy you meet, and giving. So it's like that foundation for you was set so long ago, and you took that and it had opportunities. And man, I think about all the people that I know just in Spokane, and I don't know your whole life, that you've impacted. And I'm just like, that's where it started. That's your fundamentals.
You're very kind.
That was inspiring. That's amazing. I didn't know that about you.
That's very kind of you. Thank you for those kind remarks. Really, it warms my heart. Kind of brings a little emotion to me, because, you know, I really want to just help people and impact people. And, you know, God has used the platform of sports, to be frank with you, to give me that opportunity to really help people and to change lives. And I'm thankful.
A lot of these themes are kind of recurring in this really elite population of individuals we've been talking to, who we call 3P champions. But in your case, and you know, I know your parents instilled values, and those stories will teach you things about life and love and cruelty and all of that stuff. But in there, your parents, they may have been very warm and giving people, but it sounds like they were working on their kids. But you have become someone who is trying to help everybody. And I didn't necessarily hear that as a value your parents embraced. They may have, but they had enough to do taking care of you and where you grew up. But where did that enormous desire to help and work for others and serve come from?
Well, so part of the story too, I would say my dad wasn't really a part that I remember in his life in demonstration towards us. But from my mom, I didn't know all that she did until she passed away. And at her funeral, people just got up all over the building and were sharing that, you know, when they were growing up, she, if they got an A on their report card, she gave them $1.
Wow.
If they wanted to go to Silverwood, which, you know, is kind of like Six Flags Over America type of thing, is in St. Louis, she paid all of their ways. I mean, I didn't know that until all these young adults were getting up and sharing. So I would think that my mom was kind of it's kind of maybe a negative term, but she was in everybody's business.
Hmm.
And I think that it wasn't negative, it was wanting to help.
Yeah.
She would,
Wow.
out of her pocket, out of her time. She was when I was growing up young, she was a professional cook. And then they needed to get in a place where they could earn more consistent money. And my mom and dad both went to work in the factory and worked 25 years in a factory. They worked 16 of those years in graveyard so that they could be involved in our lives and be in our activities, because they didn't have enough seniority to work the day shift. So, and if you have to work the swings, it's 3 to 11. You don't see your kids, you don't see anything. So they worked 16 hours graveyard shift, or not 16 hours, 16 years graveyard shift. And, I didn't appreciate it, to be frank with you. I was trying to sneak out of the house and all that stuff while they were working. And I know you understand that too, don't you, Rob and Greg, sneaking out.
Yeah.
But when I became an adult and the sacrifices that were made, and they died fairly young of cancer, both my mom and dad did, and there's no cancer in our history anywhere. And I really think it was, I read some research on that night sleep is really important to keep your immune system up. And their immune systems were compromised. And my mom went out at 73 and my dad went out at 77.
Well, that story about your mom's funeral gave me goosebumps. And that's where you can draw a direct line from her charity to your charity. And from your 40 years at NBC Camps, I mean, I'm sure as a coach, you were ministering. And we talked to, a lot of the people we speak with are coaches, mentors, advisors. And whether you're coaching a team or talking to a homeless kid, or it's, at least in my life, and I've taught and mentored and stuff like that, it's all the same. It's all the same message.
It is. It really is.
And so what is your message to the young people or adults that you counsel today?
You can pretty much ask them. They kind of mimic me a lot right now, because I in my senior years. But one of the things for sure is it's just hard work pays off. I mean, literally, I pretty much don't say anything else. We get in the huddle, we raise our hands, and they know the saying as we break is going to be hard work pays off. Now, we might add something else to that, but that's really the key. And I want to say this as moving, and I'm looking at Greg. I know Greg. I've known Greg for a lot of years. That guy's he's a hard worker. And Rob, I went through some of your videos. Greg sent me, the links, and I'm just looking at what you've done and the quality of your work and the effort that has put in on your documentaries. It's like, that's incredible, really. So I know that when I say hard work pays off, you guys are shaking your heads and echoing the hard work pays off. I do believe that one thing that I would want to also communicate, and I'm not sure where you are with this, but I will share it anyway, because it's a part of the message. It can be more out there or just more subtly, but that every person on the face of earth is a miracle. And they're created in the image of God. And they are valued, and they need to be loved, and they need to be cared for. And so that is a message that I try to bring forth no matter where I'm at. If I'm in a public school, which are really limited, I can say it. I mean, I might not be able to say God, but I can say, hey, you're a miracle, you're valued, you're special, you're unique. There's no one on the face of the earth like you, and you're loved. So that would be the message that, from my years as a Division I college basketball coach to working, 40 years with NBC, to being involved at the Union Gospel Mission, as a volunteer since '84, and now being a part-time paid employee, that message is the same. You're special, you're unique, God loves you, and you're valued as a human being.
Well, again, there are a lot of overtones that cross over into other people's philosophies and principles as well. But it's not just that God loves you, it's that I love you.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I, Danny Beard,
Yes.
love you. And everything I am and have been is right here.
Yeah.
And I love you, and I know you're important. I value you. And that can just be the most powerful message somebody's going to receive. And it can absolutely turn somebody around to think that, man, if Danny Beard believes in me, then maybe I can believe in me.
It 100%. And if I didn't communicate that, that is 100%. I'm communicating very clearly to people face to face, on the phone, text message, that I really love you. You are valued. And I remember young in my years growing up, I remember hearing this report from psychologists that said every person on the face of the earth has three basic needs. The number one is the need to love someone and to be loved. Number two is the need for to feel like they belong. And number three is the need for self-expression. Well, my son was kind of a loner. He has 2 master's degrees. He works at University of Washington. But he was kind of like, didn't feel like necessarily he belonged, to a group. And he was very shyish, so he didn't really have much self-expression. But the need to love and to be loved, we have to have that. If we don't have that, we don't really want to be around. We don't want to exist. We don't want to stay here because nobody cares. Yeah. And so that need is huge. Our men and women at our shelters here, if you listen to the stories are across the board. You're stupid, you're dumb. I wish you would have never been born. You were a mistake. Now think about listening and hearing that all your life.
Yeah. Well,
hey, Danny, this is something, you talk about here, but 2 things we talk about a lot is one, there's a lack of it, is empathy, right? And 2, we talk about, Rob, all the time, someone who believes in you, regardless of what your background is, your history or whatever, but sees you as, like you said, a gift, a 1 in a million type person, and you see something and you love them and you get them to believe in themselves again, because that's when they can change. So empathy and believing in someone, and it sounds like that's what you do. That's your life.
I tell you right now, when we see, and I'm specifically in the men's shelter here, but when I can go over here today and there'll be a new person that's checked in and they're just here. Sometimes they just need a meal, sometimes a place to sleep. They're not really interested in change. But as they stay here, they get started meeting with one of our caseworkers, and you can see the transformation of a life when they feel like somebody really cares and somebody really wants to listen to them, and they feel like I'm not the invisible man. Mm-hmm. I'm watching, it's like, this is not the same person that checked in here 90 days ago. Not the same person. It's amazing. What you just said happens in the lives. I see it. I'm going to say every day, but for sure every month, because sometimes it takes a while for that trust factor to enter in, where they're going to really open up a little bit and share their hurt, their pain, their struggles. And once they get that out and they hear that or see that this person does care about me, it's incredible.
And you're also inviting them to belong.
Absolutely.
And that's powerful. I know that's very powerful. That and being on a team is belonging. So I mean, your background kind of all still goes back to your background of playing on teams, meaningful teams. You're still friends with Lon Kruger and these other guys that, so, you felt like you belonged pretty much your whole life.
Yep.
And it is incredibly powerful.
I will share this with you, and you guys do whatever you want with it. But, I grew up in segregation, right? So, I'm going to be a little sensitive here and I ask that, you kind of, some of this stuff, please check with me, but I grew up in segregation, so I grew up in the hood, literally in the hood. The projects were right. There was an alley, but it was a grass alley, and here was all the projects, and then our home was right here in town. Then we had the farm, okay, the farm. But the house in town was just, it was the oldest house in town. My parents bought it, had no foundation, it was built on the ground. That's where I grew up in town, and then on the farm. And so when my parents made a decision, segregation, and this was a hard decision, but that they were going to send us to the white school. Okay, so I'm here in the hood, never was in a black home my whole high school. I mean, excuse me, a white home. Now my whole high school never was in a white home, never was in a white church. I'm here. So then all of a sudden in kindergarten, I'm going to meet these white people, and there's no other blacks in the school. So I go from kindergarten to 6th grade. That would have been my older brother, who's 6 years older. So he was kind of gone before I even got in, because he was, junior high. And then my sister's a year older than me. We go in there, and we're the only black family in the whole school. And all of our friends are in the black school. My uncle was the headmaster. That's what they called him back then, but principal of the school. And so on one side, why are you doing this? Why are you not here in our school? And I had to come back to my home, and I never saw my white friends ever except at school. I didn't do anything with them during the summers. I just in my black community. So 9 months out of the year, I'm hanging around all whites, come home and study, right? And then during the summers, I never saw my white friends, And so I grew up with that. I can remember in 2nd grade being called a nigger. Okay, we're not supposed to use that word, but I was. And I kind of didn't even know what that was.
Hey, I grew up with it, Danny. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I didn't know what it was. And so I came home, and I talked to mom and dad and them, and they're going, oh, no, that's just not good, But I need you to know that guy became one of my best friends in high school. He became a basketball player. And then he became a pastor after getting out of high school and college, and he's a pastor. So I look back on that, and it was a struggle though with belonging. So I mean, a little bit, right? You with me on that?
Yeah.
A little bit of belonging, because I'm here for 9 months.
Which group do you belong to?
Exactly. And so you felt like maybe that some of the white group didn't want me there, which I know they didn't, right? But then the black kids were going, and I'm gonna use my terminology, and you'll understand it, Uncle Tom, right? Have you heard that term?
Sure.
Yeah. So Uncle Tom. So that wasn't it at all. My parents made a decision. It wasn't like I made a decision. They said, this is what you're going to do. Now, do I thank them for that now? Yeah, absolutely. I can go out to Reardon and Davenport, and Rob, I'm not sure where you live, but I can go out to Reardon, Davenport, and I'm feeling totally comfortable. But I can step in the gym. There's no brown people in there but me. But I'm totally okay, because I get it. I speak in a lot of churches. I mean, anyway, so that allowed me to really be able to navigate and get along pretty much with anybody.
Yeah.
And
well, you also, were kind of hardened. You were hardened a little bit too,
absolutely.
That was a difficult situation. I know it had to be brutally difficult, and you didn't have a choice about it. So, on the one hand, you don't know which group you belong to, and on the other hand, you may not feel like you belong to either group.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
And in the sixth grade, they closed down the black school, and everybody came together. People were going, "Oh, this is not going to work. It's going to be disastrous." No issues at all. Maybe the parents had issues, but in the school, we had no issues. Yeah. And I can say this to you too, Rob, right now. I have 4 or 5 of those people that I went to kindergarten with. They're in white, right? They're still some of my best friends to this day. This day, right now. Let me give you this example. This is most recent. So a white girl that came from, so we were a consolidation. So our school had the high school, and then all these little small towns around had their own elementary schools. So when they came to high school, there was a huge number of kids that we had never seen before. And all of them were from all little small white towns. They never saw a black person except on TV. And most of their parents did not have one positive thing to say about black people, not one. So one girl that I became friends with from one of those little small towns, in my opinion, she was the most beautiful girl in the school. Our senior year, she was homecoming queen and I was homecoming king.
Wow.
And we walked down that aisle together, and her parents did not die of heart attacks, but almost. Well, she is still one of my good friends. She's married. Her and her husband sold their 3 houses and they live in a motorhome. Last week, she came to Newman Lake. Greg, you'll know that. Newman Lake, they had Diamond Lake, and they had their little motorhome there. And we all went out at Twigs for dinner, and we were talking about that. She says, I remember when you drove out to my place on your motorcycle. So that would have been our senior years. I bought my motorcycle with baling hay money. And she goes, my parents just were dying. What is that doing in our yard? She said she never heard one positive thing about black people in her whole life, ever. And now she's one of my good friends, my brother. Come on, Rob. Well, that's how people change. And you know what I'm saying?
You know what? I mean, there's a huge message in there, and I see it. We see it every day. I mean, racism is still rampant in this country, and I believe that every racist was raised by a racist. So
totally.
At some point, if somebody's raised by a racist and they become racist and they have kids and they become racist, somebody has to break that cycle. And I'm not sure how that happens. It may happen by meeting somebody like you and realizing that's all bullshit. Everything I've been taught is bullshit. Yeah. But it doesn't happen enough. And that's why we're in the state we're in.
Right.
That girl is like 1 in 1,000.
I know. And her husband grew up out here. He grew up out here. Think about this. He grew up out here. He was at Rogers, right? So I don't know if you know our landscape. So Rogers back in the day was the railroad, right? I mean, so you think he didn't grow up? He grew up with a lot of redneck. His neck was so red, it was like my shirt.
And that's fascinating to me, Danny, because it's not like, we have a lot of racism, but you, with a white woman back then, king and queen, with all those people, I mean, holy crap. You're ice cold. That's why you never miss a free throw, probably, right?
Hey, you guys, it's in the yearbook too. So if you guys want a copy of the yearbook, you're going.
I do. I want to see that. I want to spread that.
1970. Are you kidding me?
Well, let me ask you a question. You know, in that school, you became homecoming king. I mean, there had to be a lot of people that really thought the world of you. So
I guess,
yeah, man. I mean, how else do you get to be homecoming king?
Yeah, you're right.
So that's a credit to the way you handled yourself the entire time you were there. And a lot of people realized that the stuff that had been spewed to them by, generations before just wasn't true.
Yeah.
So you've kind of been not changing minds, changing hearts for a long time. And
very kind. You're very kind.
I'm not. No, that's not kindness. I'm just gone by your story. That's what's been happening. And obviously, you affected people back then and you're affecting people now. And, most of the people we speak with went through tough times. And I guess, there's something to be said for tough times forming character. And we always hear about character building. That usually means something bad happened and you survived it. But now you're taking all those experiences, which are really life experiences, and you're, meeting new people every day and just kind of being yourself. So I mean, I'm happy for anybody who walks into your facility lost and runs into you, because they're immediately found. Now, how long that lasts and whether they go through the whole program and are transformed, I'm not sure. I'm sure it happens. I don't know if it happens in every case, but everybody that runs into you as a lost individual becomes found.
Yeah, I thank you for that. And, I kind of like, thank you. I like to refer to it a little bit because you're right, everyone doesn't. And I'm thinking probably in our facility, if they stay the course and complete the program, which is 16 months, really it's 18 months because there's an observation phase of 30 days and an evaluation. But they, if nothing more, there's a seed that's planted, Rob, and that seed, if they go back to the lifestyle they choose, then there's that, there is something more and better for me. So that's also, I think that's a good piece to this, is that they didn't make that change right then, but they know that there's something better out there for them.
Yeah. And
Hey, Danny.
Yes.
Danny, thing that's important to both Rob and me, and it's really important to me because, like you, I was fortunate enough when I was a 7th grader to meet John Stockton. And I was that little guy we liked because I was a little scrapper, but I was very insecure about my size, right? But he said, hey, Greg, you know what? It doesn't matter how big you are, tall you are, as long as you work your butt off and you be the best you can be. But so I related to mentorship. And, it's easier for people, I think, to get mentorship on a field in a basketball court where you're away from your parents a lot of times. And I look at what you've done, and you've used that platform as basketball, as life, just to mentor so many people.
Hello?
Uh-oh, Greg froze.
Yep. Greg, you
I
there?
apologize. I lost there.
Okay.
My point, my technology, my point there is that I believe we need mentors for friendship. We need mentors for relationships with our wife, mentorships for school, mentorships for finances. And more than importantly, mentors who've lived through struggle and can relate to somebody, and mentors for everything. And we have a lack of mentors. And that's why we love talking to guys like you, because you're people that I know that are going to give me the right story. I'm going to trust you. And I think for me, number one for anybody is they have to have good mentors. What is your thought process on that? Because you're like the ultimate mentor.
Yeah.
You're very kind. I'm getting reports, pretty much every week, for sure every month, from people that I have been involved in their lives. I got a text this last week from a guy that's in Montana, and he's overseeing the whole campsite. And the lady has been involved with us 20 years. And she said, you know what, you being here is one of the best decisions that NBC has made, sending you over here. You are incredible. And then he texted me her words to him, and he says, thank you for being a mentor in my life. Because I am here, I am where I'm at as a direct result of you playing a role in my life. Not only me, but at least I had a little small piece of that. The other thing I would say to that, Greg, too, is in our program here for the men and the women, once they get into phase 3, we are looking for men for the men and women for the women that will be mentors to them. Come alongside them, encourage them, take them out for a cup of coffee, come down and meet with them down here. We believe that for the stability of definitely those that are coming through and out of addiction, they need to have that person in their life. I believe we all need that person in our life. I don't care what age we are, we need that person in our life. Mentorship is huge. They lead by example. There's encouragement there. We can model somewhat, our lives after them. And again, Rob, I don't know, but for me, one of the greatest examples of mentorship was Jesus. I mean, he took these 12 men, one of them kind of rejected him, but he took them and he poured his life into them. And they went out, right or wrong, whatever you believe, but they impacted the world.
Yeah.
To where we are today.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm I'm not going to compare you to Jesus, even though I think you're quite a guy, but I do think the ripples of your life and your last 40 years or 60 years are having an enormous impact on people that many of whom you won't even realize. But I know when you hear from somebody who tells you how you've impacted their life, I can't imagine there's much better a feeling for anybody than you get out of that. But, you know, and we talk about this too, and generosity, true generosity, is doing something for somebody for the sake of helping them without regard to what you might get back. But in your case, what you get back is just gratification of knowing you made somebody's life better. And I'm sure you're a happy man.
I love my life. I love my wife. I've been married 46 years. We've raised 3 children. You know, life is really, really hard, but just to be able to see, and I'm gonna use this terminology, that you've really made a difference in someone's life, that's huge. And I'm gonna say that to you, Rob. Again, I'm just getting to know you. Your documentaries, I mean, again, I'm new to it, right? But the ones that I've watched, you've made a difference, you know, in people's lives.
Well, well, thanks, Danny. I appreciate that. But I was always really happy to be the messenger. I was happy to be showing other people that I think are admirable and can change your life by seeing what they do. So,
right.
You know, yeah, it's never the Rob Stoller story, but I like presenting people that can inspire other people.
Yeah.
So,
well, you've done a nice job with that, for
well,
sure.
I appreciate it.
And I'm looking forward to seeing more of them, actually, because I've only really watched 2, but I'm looking forward to seeing more of your the documentaries. I got excited too. I don't know, you guys are going to edit this, I know. So I was a little bit, so I'm on the board at Hoopfest, and I was a little bit, you know, kind of reluctant. I hadn't connected with Greg, you know, in a while, and his name came up in the meeting. And, you know, I just told the whole board, hey, I know Greg, you know, I've known him for, you know, quite a few years, and they kind of shared a little bit what, you know, he was thinking he wanted to do. And I'm going, yeah, you know, I don't know. And I probably said, well, we just need to be careful. I probably said that, right? We need to be careful, whatever that means. And, and then I made a decision. I said, I'm going to reach out to Greg, you know. I think you sent me an email or something, Greg, somewhere after that. But I still had his number in my phone from our last communication. And then after talking to Greg, and he shared a little bit about you, and basically I went in the next board meeting and I said, I think this is a great thing. I think we should pursue it. I think that, you know, Greg's got the energy and the juice, and Rob's got the know-how. And so I'm kind of out, but I put my stamp of approval and endorsement to everybody on the board, because I don't know how many really know Greg. I'd say nobody knows him as well as I do, I don't think. And so, you know, kind of one of the bigger issues, and Greg and I have talked about it, you know, because we just, you know, we can't, Greg, I'm hoping I'm not out of line here, but, you know, we cannot be raising the money, you know, and all that stuff, because that just, we're, you know, COVID and everything, you know, we got to have 2,000 we got to have 2,000 registrations this summer, really, to continue to put one foot in front of the other. We're hoping for 4,000. That's what we built our budget on. Probably telling you too much stuff, but we'll see where we are. We're on track, you know, to do okay. But, you know, now we're starting to see, you know,
as my technology is going in and out,
we're going backwards right now on this COVID thing again. So that's a big monster deal right now for us. So what does that look like?
Yeah, that's true. Um, well, I
Hey,
think,
Danny, thanks for the, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
Can you guys hear me?
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
My technology's been going in and out. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but
a little bit.
hey, Danny, thank you so much. I get that, and
He's gone again.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Well, in the meantime, you know, the purpose of this, it's the same thing. I mean, we just want to
this
present
thing is
people who are capable of inspiring. That's what it's all about. For me, it's always been about the inspiration. If you can inspire somebody, they can do great things that they never believed they could do before. And you do it on a daily basis. So we're trying to really kind of speak to people who are capable and willing to help other people. That's the whole thing. Of when somebody hears your story, that's gonna move them. Um, and your story, whereas it's unique and you're unique, there are a lot of people, not a lot, not enough, but there are people, and Greg knows all of them, who are, who have stepped up to become mentors and advisors, and for the purest of reasons, just because they can and they believe they should. A lot of them are volunteers. A lot of them are coaching 4 different teams.
Yeah.
Derek Sparks, Tim Manson's, all these guys are, you know, working with anybody who needs help.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
all our mentors are volunteers too. I mean, they just are. It's just, and it's a commitment, and we need them, and the men need them, and the women, for sure.
Yeah, I'm in Philadelphia, by the way.
Okay.
So, and I worked with a nonprofit here called Achievability.
Okay.
And I was reading about your organization and, the way you follow up with people and try to get them, get women cars and get people jobs and places to live. And Achievability is about that as well. They try to get people kind of placed in society.
Yeah.
So you're not alone. And I don't know that there's a way of, the more of these I do, the more I'm thinking like, man, why can't UGM hook up with Achievability and with, Youth at Risk and with all these other organizations instead of everybody working, independently.
Right.
But I'm not sure how that's done. I think, you're all part of a network of do-gooders.
Yeah, we're right now. It's interesting you brought that up because I had a meeting last night with the executive director, and our whole goal right now is we have different approaches, but the big goal is the same, is to help people who are homeless. So you can do it this way. And most of the other ones are low barrier shelters. I don't know if you understand that terminology.
Not really, no.
Okay. So the difference, low barrier shelter is basically come anyway as you are. You can pee in the corner of the building, you lay down on the floor, and be stoned or drunk. That's a low barrier shelter. Just come on in. We'll give you a place to sleep. We're classified as a high barrier shelter. And the basic behind the high barrier is we're asking you to make a decision before you come into our door if you want to be clean and sober. So we have 185 people in our facility. That's our capacity that are saying we want to be clean and sober. So, and I know you'll understand this, if you let someone in and they're drunk or they got the smell of alcohol in, those people that are struggling with that issue are going to be triggered to walk out the door and go use. So we're trying to protect the people that are inside. If you want to, now there's grace in that. So our state has legalized marijuana. So you come through the door, you've been smoking. We say, hey, come on in, we'll do a baseline on you. And that baseline in 10 days, we'll do it again. And if it's the same, that means you're still using. And so then we'll say, well, this is not the place for you, and here's where you can go. And then usually it's going to a low barrier shelter. The problem with the low barrier shelter really is there's no accountability. I mean, literally nothing.
No incentive to change.
There's no jobs that are being offered because you're going to go to work for whatever until you get your first paycheck, then you're not going to show up. So that piece, you're not paying your rent, so then our state pays the rent. So we're trying to say, we want you to be a contributing member in society. And for us, that is clean and sober. That is, you have a job, you have a place to live, you have some type of accountability group. Is that an AA group or an NA, or is it a church, where you're with a group? And then the last one, you need to start paying taxes. So whenever you become a contributing member in society, those 5 things are involved in that piece. And so that's what we talk to the guys about, or ladies about, and we're seeing it happen. Last year, we put 200 men and women in jobs last year.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Incredible.
I mean, I'm just listening to that myself, and I'm going, that's amazing.
It is.
It is amazing.
It is.
Hey, Danny, I wanted to share with you. So we keep mentioning this Derek Sparks guy. Derek was a phenom high school guy, no dad, poor as dirt, from Texas. And it's a crazy story, but let's go forward now. He's a VP of diversity at Kennedy Catholic High School. He's a motivational speaker. He's a coach at PLU for football. He coached for a short time at Garfield, where that juggernaut of basketball, because their program stunk. He goes out there halfway through the season. He's driving home. He gets a call from some guy at a hotel, says, hey, we got your player here. He's going, oh no, what'd this guy do? He says, he wants to know if you come get him. It's the Department of Social and Health Services. He goes down and sees this player midway through the season who's got all of his belongings in his bag. He's homeless. And then Derek says, hey, I looked at the kid and I saw me as a kid and my heart dropped. He comes to find out, Danny, he's got 5 on his team. They're all homeless. So he starts his foundation, which I want to introduce him to you. It's called, he got with his buddies and coaches, and he created the House of Champions. He brought this kid, gave him some structure. They got some education background. They got nutritious food. These kids are getting through that. They're getting college degrees because these kids were homeless, and they're in school. No parents. They're living off the streets. It's amazing. I'm like, I never knew this happened.
I just Googled it over here. I'm looking over here too.
House of Champions.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a good.
You
program.
guys need to get together. I need to get you guys together.
That's true. That's true. And also, your friend who's got the foster care company,
Kevin Parker.
He's another one. His purpose is to help kids who don't have a home and parents.
Is that the Dutch Bros, Kevin Parker?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, Danny, do you know that? So he was a Young Life guy, right?
Oh yeah, I know.
He was in the lunchroom at Columbine because he was a counselor for Young Life. I mean, he could have got killed. He saw people get killed. Afterwards, he took his kids and helped them. And, I didn't know he went to Whitworth. So it's crazy. But yeah, similar story. Went through a hell, struggled, and now he wants to give back. And he's got his own little thing. But, he's doing something good for kids that don't have a home,
See, I didn't know that piece of Kevin. I knew he went to Whitworth because my daughter was there. And then when he was running for those offices, he tried to hang a sign in my yard. And I go, I don't think we're going to do that. Not going to do that.
Hey, we can play hoops, but we're not talking politics.
Well, it's funny. Kind of the same strokes from different folks. I mean, Kevin's, he's another one that is a very altruistic guy. I don't see him looking for like, what can I make off of this? What can I do through this? So, that's what we're talking to is a bunch of givers. You guys, you're a giver. And it's a tough world for givers these days. Takers got a lot more power than givers, it seems, but that's kind of what we're trying to do is present givers and people who are making a difference.
So Rob, on your side over there, it just seems like I never heard the term entitlement growing up, but it just seems like that younger generation, there's just this spirit of entitlement. You owe me, and I don't have to do anything, and you owe me.
Yeah.
Is that in your area too?
It is, but again, I always think like if I see a kid, and I've coached a lot of kids too, if I see a kid who feels entitled, that's because daddy told him he's entitled.
That's a great point. It probably is, for sure.
And like other cycles need to be broken, that needs to be broken too. And
and let me ask you guys on this. Let me ask you on this thought process, because I, as a kid and watching kids and coaching kids, and there's this time period where, and parents, two parents, they got money, they're working 60 hours a week, and they got these kids running rampant, but they feel guilt and shame, so they kiss their kids' butts, and these kids take that, and they run with it. And I mean, it's actually a thing where their parents do, because I think they feel guilty. They're not raising them
because they're not home enough or whatever. Yeah, I think that's probably true, but I mean,
for some.
Danny's dad worked hard. Yours did. Mine did. My dad never got to. I don't think he ever got to any of my games, baseball games, matches, wrestling. He was always working. He was home.
Yeah.
But he was working. And so, the times he was home, I think were more meaningful because we cherished that time more. But he also taught me about right and wrong.
Yeah.
So whether they feel guilty or whatever, you still got to be a parent. Parent is the number one mentor on a kid. So,
I think of the word, so my idol, Danny, there's two growing up. One is, I think he's like Jesus Christ walking when it was John Wooden. And there's John Stockton, the way the discipline. And it's like, character is hard to find in a lot of people because there's a lot of temptation. So when you see someone with character, I think kids are going to challenge you, but when they realize that you care and you have character, I think they kind of want to be like you. And I think that character is the main ingredient of everything. If you don't have character, you're going to go astray.
Yeah. I mean, I think role model is overused also, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of kids who did not have one growing up. We didn't talk about Dale Brown, who Greg introduced me to, but you talk about feeling unwanted. His father left his mother 2 days before Dale Brown was born and never returned. He never, ever spoke with or met his father. And he's gone on to visit 90 countries and mentor youth and Native American issues and anybody who comes down the pike who needs advice or help or love, and he had it. And so do you. So, a lot of it, that whole nature nurture thing, it may have been tough growing up, but his mother instilled that kind of ethic in him. And, we haven't spoken with anybody who didn't have somebody believe in them and set them on the straight path. And you created a lot of that on your own, but your parents took that move of sending you to the white school.
Yeah.
Now, if nothing else, it's going to build character.
Absolutely.
And it did.
Absolutely.
And it also gave you a perspective that you can bring in, as you say, to any school or building you walk into. You bring a lot of history with you.
Yeah. It's real interesting when I take my friends that out here that are of color and we go to some of those little small communities, really they feel a little bit uncomfortable, to be frank with you. They do. They feel a little uncomfortable, and and I don't, but I'm definitely aware. I mean, I'm definitely aware of that. There's not a Black person in here, Went to this, Greg, I'm not sure you know him. He's kind of a legend here as far as in the older folk. His name is Ted Neely. Ted Neely, big farmers down there. His sons played, both of them on scholarship at Central and then back to Eastern Washington University. And the dad actually went to Whitworth, played there, and then ended up at WSU, he and his twin brother. But he's about 74 years old, big farmers, homestead, came out, settled down in the Palouse. The dude was out on the farm with one of those big 1,600-pound bales of hay. Somehow it got up in the air and crushed him dead. Crushed him.
Good Lord.
And I mean, that was a difficult memorial that I had to be a part of. It was held in the gym there at La Crosse, and it was, over 1,000 people, and there was probably 50 of us old basketball junkies that were there. All the Solidays, the legends from over in Reardon. I mean, there was a bunch of us there. And so my point for bringing that up is that we just really, really need to value every day, every person, because there would have been never a thought in my mind. He's the one that got me going on. We're going to have an elite division at Hoopfest this year. Never have had that elite division of 60 and over and 70 and over. Never have had that. And
you're having it this year?
This year. Well,
I didn't know
he
that.
passed away now. We've got it on schedule to do, and somebody else has to take the lead on his part, replacing him. But yeah, he was kind of a driver of that bus for sure. And so that'll be neat. So we'll have that for you, Greg, in about 15 more
10 years.
10
years.
Okay.
Hey, I turned 50 next week or 2 weeks. Hey, Danny, I want to talk about something. I grew up in Spokane, right? So I apologize my technology, guys, but so I grew up on the, Lower South Hill, East Side. I went to Martin Luther King. Most of my friends were Black growing up. I shit you not, I didn't know till I was 30 that Spokane was 99% white in a sense. And I'm like, I was driving up on 29th. I saw a big billboard. It showed the rates on education and how many kids were not graduating. And so I'm like, I'm gonna look at the demographics. And I'm like, most of these guys were from my neighborhood. I'm like, where did this guy end up? Where did this guy end up? I looked at it, I read that, and I about dropped to the door. I'm like, I start talking to my friends, Malik. I'm like, oh yeah, we've had cop problems. This is white here, Greg. I'm like, what? I had no clue. I went to LC. I had no clue. I was shocked.
Oh, that's good.
Now I get a lot of stuff. Now I understand a lot of stuff. Like, okay, now I get it.
We're about 13% here, Rob, in Spokane, total minorities, and about 7% maximum of Black. And so
7% of Spokane is Black. 7%?
Maybe.
Wow.
Yeah. And then listen, Rob. So I went to that funeral, right? Memorial.
Now was Neely white?
He was white, dude. Yeah. I was the only person of color of 1,000 people in that gym. Did you hear that, Greg?
Oh my God.
The only person of color in that gym.
That's insane. That's a real critique on us, on all of us. It is. So, my friend Marvis Frazier, the Reverend, he always told me devil's working hard.
Oh,
that was Marvis. Devil's out there working hard.
Oh yeah.
And that I always believed. Well, because I always believed everything Marvis told me, but there is a lot of ill will in the world, and parents are still teaching their kids the N-word, and
absolutely.
But that's, I know that's not going to deter you, and it's not going to deter me or Greg or anybody we've spoken with, and that's the deal. You got to keep fighting the fight.
Yeah, it's a little bit, with all that's going on, you've got to have a little bit more focus on your safety now than you used to.
No question.
It used to be these things right here, right?
Yeah.
Right, you and me. We're gonna settle it.
Yeah, mano a mano, no more.
It's a gun or it's a knife. I mean, I get mad at a guy because he cut me off. The dude might pull a gun out and shoot through my window.
Hey, Danny, Rob, check this out. Yesterday, so Danny, they're doing a huge article on me in the spokesman for Hoopfest. Okay. So they're taking pictures of me at the warehouse. I meet Stockton. I talk to him. We have our little thing. He's with his kids training. I'm driving to my dad's house. Danny lives right by Grand Elementary, 9th and Arthur.
Yeah.
I get off Hamilton. I pull up. I get to the light of the hill, and there's like 20 cop cars up the street. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? Did you see on the news? They had a guy.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
That's 3 blocks from my dad's house, and I'm watching this thing, and so he's not supposed to be there. And I thought, so I got out of the way. I'm like, this guy's going to shoot. I'm taking off. And then I find out he had a machete or something. But I'm like, that was just what you're saying. That was yesterday on Arthur Street.
I know.
That's crazy.
I was just by there 2 days ago because my daughter lives up there. That's the Perry district.
That's where I live.
Yeah. My daughter lives up there on 13th.
I'm 9th.
Yeah.
So I can only assume that you have 3 kids, Danny?
Yeah.
Well, if they don't already know, and they probably do, I know they realize what kind of an upbringing they've been given by you and your wife.
Yeah. Thank you. Let me share this a little transparent. They do. Our youngest was at our home last night, just stopped in. But here's probably, if there is a downside, Greg, you're going to understand this. Made a decision to come out here and help grow NBC Camps. I was in Birmingham, Alabama. Our son was born in Illinois because I was at Eastern Illinois there, coaching there. And we made a decision to come out and help grow this camp for 3 to 5 years. And I'm heading back to college coaching. That was the whole plan. And then as the jobs came, it was hard. Now we have 2 kids. Now we have 3 to leave them here. And, we didn't have the internet and all that stuff where you could just leave and do everything. At least I didn't know I could. And so it was hard. And finally, I just said, well, I'm not going to take the jobs. But my kids, probably my youngest one specifically, not because of Spokane, 7% Black school she was in. My kids many times were one of a few. There were a few mixed race kids there, right? A few, but they were, not any hardly Black kids at all in their schools ever. And because Greg was on the South Hill, so he had that kind of East Side hood area, and then which is where he kind of grew up. And then, but the rich were there too. So you had, so his school never was at one because you had the rich kids, parents supporting the school, and the poor kids got the benefit of that. So my children feel like we lived on the north side, and they didn't have a bunch of Black friends. We drove across town to try to go to Black church and connect up there. And then, the Black church is 2 hours or more, and so they didn't like that. They liked we got 1 hour and 15 minutes and we're out of there, that type of thing. So we ended up pretty much going to a white church, white school. So that piece for my children didn't get, and then we didn't have the money to be able, for my son, we flew back every year. So he was able to see grandparents and all his cousins. And then even a little bit for my daughter, we were able to go back, my middle daughter, but my youngest daughter, she didn't hardly know, grandma and grandpa. She didn't know any of her cousins, that type of thing. So basically she became an adult now, and she's going, Dad, it just seems like, we didn't really, I didn't get, my skin is brown, but, I don't understand that piece really that well. I don't know if I'm explaining that.
That's almost history.
No, I get it.
It's almost history repeating itself.
kind of is. You're kind of right. Now that you brought that up, you're kind of right. I mean, totally. And so, my wife is half Mexican, so her mom was full-blooded Mexican, her dad was Black, and that's a no-no back in the 50s or 60s, whatever it was. For them to get married like that. So Spokane, my son is out of here. He's an administrator at the University of Washington. He loves the diversity culture in Seattle. He's not coming back twice a year. He comes for 4th of July and Christmas to see us, and that's it. And my 2 daughters all went away, but in order for them to build their businesses and their careers, it's cheaper to come back to Spokane. At least it was. Now we're catching up with everybody, Greg. I don't know if you know that in all ways, but they've been back here for about 5 years. But they left Phoenix, and then one was in LA, and so the two oldest don't have necessarily as much of that. I missed out, on Black culture. But in Spokane, Rob, it's a challenge, bro, here in Spokane.
I know, yeah. But you know what they didn't miss out on? Love.
They did not. You're right.
And that's numero uno.
Yeah. Great family, great. They're all responsible. They're hard workers. They're good people. I tell them, and none of them have any addictions, right? No drugs, no alcohol. I'm not saying my youngest doesn't smoke a little pot, right? I gotta be honest with you, right? I did too, but I was like Bill Clinton. I never inhaled.
Yeah, me too.
you know I'm joking, right? You know I'm joking.
Me too. But that's the fact. Whatever they, culturally, it wasn't this or wasn't that, or they'll grow up, learning and thinking and remembering, but they'll never have to wonder why they weren't loved.
No, you're right.
So all the rest of it is kind of window dressing. They'll get that as they grow up and they have kids and everything else, but it's the love, Danny.
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
Anything else you'd like to say to anyone who might be watching this?
I don't know. I admire you for what you're doing, for sure. I don't get it. I gotta be honest with you. I don't get it. But I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna put together. If I'm a part of that in some small way, then I'm thankful. And if it's not, then I understand. You're still gonna be my friend. I hope to be able to get to know you a little bit better.
So listen, man, you are definitely in. And if you watched a piece about Danny Beard, you would say that guy he's a hell of a guy. And those kids that meet him and the kids that he's coached and the people that he interacts with are lucky to have him in their life. And you may not say it now because you are Danny Beard, but if you weren't and you watched Danny Beard, you'd admire that guy. And I admire you.
You're so good, Rob. You're good, Rob. Thank you.
Hey, Danny, you know what? I appreciate.
I want to meet Danny. I want to meet Danny. Rob, how can I meet Danny?
So do I. So do I.
Oh man, you give to everybody else. You don't think about yourself. That's the genius about it. That's the greatest thing about it.
Well, and that's another common quality among these, heroic kind of guys is that it's never about you. None of you guys really think about me. It's about everybody else. But, I can definitely tell you, and I met a lot of people, good, bad, and otherwise. You're here today for a reason, and it's because of the way you live your life.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you.
Hey, Danny, thank you so much for sharing. I knew some stuff, but your history and, hey, man, the images of you walking down with a white woman as a king and the prom may stick in my head forever. It's fascinating. I love learning about you because it makes me understand you more. I mean, man, what a blessing you are to so many people, myself included. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for even being willing to consider me and definitely talk. If not, this was just valuable for me. It makes me smile. You guys can see I can't hardly stop smiling. It's just making me smile. And I've been encouraged, really, and I definitely, going along with Rob, what you said, from this time, I feel loved by you guys. I mean, I really mean that. I feel loved
and admired.
Yeah. So thank you.
Admired.
Hey, Danny, one last thing. I got to make a comment here. So when we did this, our first guy was, we were just going to interview him. We didn't have any plans to documentary, was Coach Dale Brown. And so he didn't want to get on with the video. So he did audio, but me and Rob can see each other. And when we hung up, we just had mouths open.
Yeah.
I got up, I was shadow boxing because I was so inspired in this guy's story. And I feel the same with you. When I hang up here, I'm going out in this little field next to me. I'm going to shadow box the hell out of this place.
Yeah, I mean, Greg
I
and I,
am.
Greg and I are gonna, we're gonna talk later, and he's gonna be like, "Holy, how was that?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, that guy is incredible."
You're so kind, you guys got me smiling, man. You got me smiling.
You smile all the time anyway. I know that.
Okay. All right. Well,
Thanks, Danny.
Well, thank you so much, Danny.
Okay.
Continue your work, and I hope we do meet one of these days.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, may I ask, Rob, how old are you, Rob? How old are you?
I'm your age. I'm 68.
Okay, we got it. We got to meet, bro. We got to meet.
I
don't get back that way that much. I've only been to Philadelphia.
Hey, Danny. Hey, Danny, I got something for you. What are you doing December 4th this year? Are you going to Seattle and watching Gonzaga?
Okay, so in answer to that question, when Few gives me those tickets, yes, I'm probably.
No. I got them.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring Rob and you guys. I got them.
Oh, I'm definitely. Hey, now I'm looking. Let me just pull this up real quick since you brought that up. Let me apologize. My wife and I have had a goal since we were first married that we were going to go to the Holy Land, Israel.
Wow.
So I'm pulling it up real quick. There's somewhere in December that has materialized, and I am getting ready to put my money down, my deposit down. I think I'm good. I'm going to plan on being there. You and I'm putting it in my calendar right now.
I'm bringing Rob. I got front row sections. And I said, I started the battle in Seattle game, right? So, Chris, who's the AD, was on my staff when we started the Stockton camp. So when I saw that, I didn't know they were playing. I called him directly and I said, "Hey man, I grew up, my mentor is John Stockton, Hoopfest, this, that, and that. You're in Key Arena where I'm at, the new arena. You got to give me a ticket." I said, "I'll pay whatever it costs." So I got 16 of those suckers before anybody even knew about it, even the members. And I said, "I'm going to bring guys that I care about, that I like, they're in alignment, and I'm going to get all these people together. And this is perfect timing because I've only given out 4 so far." So Rob's there and you're there for sure.
Hey, is there a chance my son lives over there. Is there a chance I could get one for him too? And I'd pay for that.
It's going to cost him $700 for the seat now.
Forgive me. He won't be going.
Hey, Danny, absolutely. You can sit right next to your son, man. You're in, absolutely.
And I just found out about it. A lady that volunteers in our office, she has season tickets. She told me last week that they just opened it up for them.
I got it before them. I'm telling you.
I know. I heard you say that.
I read it in the paper. I'm like,
yeah. So who are they playing again?
They're playing Alabama.
Yeah, that's right.
But the thing is, this arena is going to be one of the top in the world, and it's the first time they'd have a basketball game in there. Gonzaga is number 1. It's going to be crazy.
Well, yeah. We're supposed to get the Sonics back. That's what this whole deal is. They're restructuring that and building because we want to be the next expansion, and we kept the name Sonics. So this is for us to get a pro team back in Seattle. Did you know that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. I'm involved in it a lot.
Okay.
How can there not be a team?
We need them back quick.
Seattle's the basketball mecca of the country, is what I'm learning.
It's pretty sad that we lost the team, but the city didn't get on board, and that guy came in with his millions or billions even, and he took it away. Durant should be playing right in Seattle right now. That's Kevin Durant. He was our draft for the Sonics.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Well, Greg was just at an event with Dale Ellis and Jack Sikma and Gary Payton and,
Lenny Wilkins,
Slick Watts, Lenny Wilkins.
Oh yeah.
The whole.
Was that the Rise Above? Above over here at the casino. Yep. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen. Hopefully.
Oh yeah. Brad Myers is a close friend.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah. So Brad, I'm just a Brad. And I love Jackie. I mean, I think they're going to change. She's going to change the culture, starting from the ground up. And basketball's in the middle of it. It's always a basketball thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a junkie. She's a junkie too. I guess I might need to change that terminology now, right? Because I mean, I say junkies, everybody's thinking dope. You know, we're talking basketball.
Well,
right?
you know, not anybody in my, you know, my demographic.
Our area, I know.
Basketball junkie, gym rat, it's all the same.
You and I, man. You and I.
Well,
Yes,
hey guys,
I
gotta run.
All right.
I gotta run.
Right.
But hey, I love this experience. So I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, Greg, we'll catch up. Danny, thank you so much.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay.
What a pleasure.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll meet in December.
I'll be there. I've got it on calendar. Thank you.
Sounds great.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.